don't know who I am, but I know all about you. I've come to talk to you tonight about the things I've seen you do. I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold hard truth.
Good evening. Wagwan. What's up? Big up, people. Hopefully you should have audio now. Can you guys hear me? Orville says start over. Should we start over with the song as well? All right, Elizabeth. Big up to my peeps. Wagwan. Clifton says all good now. Thank you. I didn't have the mic plugged in at all. Got a little bit of a new setup here this evening. I was actually saying to you guys, which you heard none of that, of course, that I'm actually kind of tired tonight. Like I feel like I was literally just sitting on the sofa, and I'm like, man, I could totally take a nap, but it's almost bedtime, so you know. So listen, been getting tons of questions. I don't know if you guys have noticed anything different, but one of the reasons why I was on the road earlier today, I was like collecting my shipment from CICA. Big up to Miracle Brokers, by the way, who contacted me and said, basically, CICA has your shipment. And they had contacted them because weeks ago, when I was trying to get my shipment, about 3 weeks ago, when Miracle Brokers was working, they were sorting their customers out. They were unloading containers. They were doing all of that. And, they're experts in the logistics and shipping area. And I just had some questions about why can't I get my stuff? And basically, they said, we will reach out to CICA. Obviously, they're competitors, but they were going to, sorry, I'm going to just change some of these things. They're going to reach out to them and see whether or not they could help them, and I thought this was awesome of them. And now Miracle Brokers is open by appointment only, so you can contact them from 10 to 2 by appointment to get all of your stuff delivered. So finally I got my stuff today. It is essential worker stuff, actually, to help me do my job as media. And like I've said before, a lot of times you guys don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but there are little things that make a humongous difference in the delivery of what we are able to bring you. So I've got someone who just messaged me just now asking about what time the evening shows start. So you guys have known that with COVID-19, we have been doing our regular evening shows, which are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 until 8. And then during the during the morning hours, we're doing a 2-hour show as well from about 7:15 until you know, about 9:30ish. Kind of varies, 9:15, 9:30. So we're just trying to bring you guys the latest news. There's so much going on with this COVID-19. I've been reading a lot of very interesting articles lately about, now there's concerns about a new disease that they've noticed in children in particular. And I remember some weeks ago, about 3, 4 weeks ago, we were talking about how it was kind of strange, but they noticed that children under 10 had a less than usual infection rate, like a less than, like it was on the low side. And they were trying to figure out why that was. And so there are a number of reasons, maybe because they're recently immunized and that gives them some protection, like they weren't really sure. But one of the really bizarre things now is they have noticed that children actually getting this disease that is extremely unusual, children who are infected with COVID-19. And so now they're like worried about that. They've also realized that people have a higher risk of strokes with COVID-19. So there's a lot that we don't know about the coronavirus and the COVID-19 disease, because that's what you get when you become infected with the coronavirus, and you die from complications of it. So lots of questions still to be answered about this. And I hope to be able to keep you guys updated as much as possible. I'm reading just incessantly, like I'm reading all the time, every little thing that I can get my hands on. There's a lot of myths and misinformation out there. And I think it's really important that we get as much of the legit and real information as we can. So shout out to my peeps, Christina, Vinat, Rocio, Anne, Elizabeth, Tanisha, Island Gal says, but ask how come you could go out today when it's not your alphabet? So good question. I do have essential worker status. I've got my certificate. I've applied. I got my piece of paper. And what I actually did was, because today was the only day that I could go and, well, they said to me, come today and collect your stuff at a certain time. So I had an appointment time. Now, we have to utilize our discretion. I'm not abusing that status. So I'm not using that certificate to just aimlessly wander out there with nothing to do and just being on the streets like a fool. That was my one errand today that I went to. And because, like I said, in that shipment, I actually had essential stuff that I have now been waiting for in excess of a month, because it has been here over a month in the Cayman Islands. And before that, it was at their facility in Miami, because there was some delay on the Miami side as well. So I've been waiting on this shipment for quite some time. So that's why I was on the road. And you know what? Hold me accountable, folks. This is what we're doing here. We're holding other people accountable, and I want people to hold me accountable. If you see me doing something, ask your questions. I don't have a problem with that. What I got a little annoyed with earlier today was somebody saying to me, you're not supposed to be using your phone. That's against the law. And I'm like, I get when people want to come at you because they think that you've gone after someone that they like. But if you're going to do that, come at the person with your facts straight. So there's no law that says you can't drive and use your phone. The law says, as of a number of years ago, you have to use a hands-free device. So only hands-free driving is permitted, right? So what that means is Bluetooth, hands-free, you're not touching the phone. And somebody else said, well, you're looking at the phone. I'm like, people, yes, you're looking at the phone, just like I look at my side mirrors. I look at my top mirror. I check if I'm doing certain things, I might check it's like, really? That doesn't equate to careless driving just because I glance at the phone. And if you notice, if you go back and watch the video, because there's over 400 of you on earlier, if you go back and look at that video very, very carefully, you'll see that when I really started looking at the phone was towards the end of the video, as I turned down a residential road to come home where there's no traffic, and literally I'm doing 10 or less miles per hour, driving very, very slowly, going over speed bumps. So in that instance, I may have had the opportunity to look at look in the direction of the phone a little bit closer. And in fact, when I stopped before pulling into my driveway, I was then reading some of your messages. And that's when I responded to the person who was talking foolishness about, oh, well, you're looking at your phone and, oh, yeah, you're driving while using the phone. It's like, people, wagwan, Rosanna, big up yourself, girl. Harla, good evening. Marshall, definitely here for it. Jacqueline, thank you so much. Jacqueline says your daughter is very beautiful. I appreciate that. What I don't appreciate is people stealing my photos off of my social media platform and trying to use those to create these fake accounts. Somebody else sent me another thing this evening. I mean, I can't even be mad at stupidity because it's just people are absolutely ridiculous. But you know, at the end of the day, I am insulted when people try to use my family. The misinformation that's out there, anybody who remotely knows me knows that it's stupid and ridiculous. There was one that's accusing me of supposedly killing my ex-husband, who, by the way, at the time we were not in a relationship for many, many years. We're not in the same household. So I don't know how I would manage to kill him. I think he was living all the way in Northside. And, you know, you're not trying to give out people's business, but, you know, people need to be very, very mindful of the things that they try to come at you with, because I have a lot of respect for my ex, and he is obviously now deceased, and he actually died of cancer. So how I could kill somebody with cancer, only God knows. But people are just petty in the moment right now. They're upset because I'm calling out the Minister of Health on his responses and how he's handled this allegation against his wife. And so they think that they can come at you with the most ridiculous accusations and somehow, you know, because they say it, that makes it true. So there's this person, Virginia Scott, who made up this complete ridiculous thing about I must be jealous or something, that I need to find a hobby, you know, whatever. I don't care about any of that. Did you inform the public of how you killed your husband? Okay, he was my ex. Thank you very much. And how do I kill someone that I have no contact with? We don't live in the same household. About he died of a heart attack. It's like people can't even get their information correct. He had battled cancer for quite some time and he was doing a number of treatments. And for those of you, you don't have to believe me. All you have to do is go to Google, look up his name, and there was an actual obituary in the local compass provided by his sister. And she actually talked about the rare form of cancer that he had. So, you know, when people try to attack you and all they can do is come at you with lies, it's very sad, and it's an indictment on them. You know, you don't even have the balls to do this straight. You got to create a fake account and steal people's personal photos and stuff like that. Shows the kind of people that support someone like Dwayne Seymour, to be honest. And those of you who are doing this really need to check yourself. At least I stand here every day and I say what I have to say, and I stand behind what I have to say, and people can address me. They can agree or don't disagree. That's their business. But I'm not hiding behind any fake persona. I'm not hiding behind, you know, a fake voice or anything else. This is me. And so they talk about how I supposedly had a ravenous lifestyle. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, what does that mean exactly? And how he used to give me money to pay bills. And I'm just like, these people are so stupid. Because, you know, once again, it's none of your business. But pretty much my entire lifetime, because I'm an actual qualified individual and my ex-husband was not. He was just what we would consider a laborer. And at the time he worked as a prison officer, which, by the way, just for those of you who want to believe this type of foolishness, you know, I'm the type of person who would fill out his applications for him and put things together so that he could present himself and then get these types of jobs. And again, I'm not trying to take any credit here. We're just talking the facts. So when people want to talk foolishness about somebody giving me money, he never had to give me a dime, because even as a student in law school, working at Maples and Calder, part-time and going to school full-time, I made more money than him. And during the summer months when I had the opportunity to make overtime, etc., I definitely made more money than him. So why he would have to give me money is just like beyond stupid. Um, Living a ravenous lifestyle for most of my adult life. You guys will know that I had an apartment, I had a condo, very modest condo, and a small complex. I drove the same vehicle for many, many, many years. I mean, it's like people will lie on you, and then their lies don't even make any sense. Talking about I had to do IVF to actually get pregnant because you couldn't. I mean, that's pretty low and 100% inaccurate. But even if I did, who would care about that, and whose business would that be? Only God knows. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of ridiculousness. Oh, about poor hygiene, and I mean, it's just like when there's a saying that when they go low, you're supposed to go high. But when you're talking ill of people who are deceased and you do not have your facts, and you're taking advantage of people's personal photos and stuff like that, that's beyond low. And then there's another one on Instagram about how I supposedly gotten arrested over the weekend. Again, ridiculous. They couldn't even get my age right. And it's just like on and on and on. But more power to you guys. Yeah, Julianne, sorry. We're definitely not worried about any of that, because we're going to continue to shine the cold, hard light on people in positions of power. So the minister, the premier, anybody elected to public office, anybody in the public eye. So whether it's a Mario Rankin, who what he did several weeks back was brought into the limelight, or it is, the minister for how he's responding to the situation, we're going to continue to shine the light on this situation. And what is even more interesting is we received additional information about the minister's wife, and that this episode that has been highlighted actually took place allegedly at the Bodden Town playfield. And now there are people who came forward today who said that there were people who saw her and this guy exercising. And in fact, they didn't get the impression that they knew each other at all, that this guy was just going to help her do leg lifts. And they were, in fact, complete strangers to one another. And the joke about it is that initially they were both wearing masks, and allegedly she took her mask off for the recording. And then he was helping her with these leg lifts and whatever. Listen, take it or leave it, just how we get it. We were not there. But more information, more details are coming to the surface about where this took place, allegedly, and how this was recorded. So it is what it is. Vanessa says, I remember you, Sandy. You helped me do my first resume in 2001. It's something I've been doing for people forever. Like, I've literally lost count. Thank you, Vanessa, for acknowledging that. I have lost count at the number of persons over the years that I've been able to help in that way, or to even point them in the right direction in terms of an application or a job or whatever. And Irvelyn, you're right. I don't have to explain anything to anyone, because again, they're so desperate, because the truth must hurt. And that's the only logical explanation, because I'm not bothered by the lies. I only briefly address it because there's some people who are still messaging me like, oh, did you see this? And I'm just like, yeah, but what part of this do you think is actually true? It's disgusting that people have to go that low and try to do these personal attacks, but it really says more about them. And the fact that the truth of the matter is they are so desperate to remove the discussion from the issues that really matter, which is their lack of accountability and their inability to address issues head on, and try to focus their attention on me with made up stories about my life, and thinking that somehow that is going to, bring me down in the esteem of people. And I'm not bothered, because it can't hold any water. So, there you have it. Thank you so much, Irvelyn. I appreciate the support. Yes, Leanne, seems like they're mad because I'm not afraid to speak the truth. And that's what they do. They attack you with lies. Call them Ras, Sandy. Some of them are just empty barrels, and it's just the cold, hard truth. And that, my friend, is the cold, hard truth. Money transfer situation. Yes. Cindy wants $300 to her account to check and see if it really works. Cindy, behave yourself. So that's what I want to focus most of our time on here this evening, because it's really, really important. Yeah, right. Marl Road got money. Yeah, please. Just because we ain't begging on the streets don't mean that we have money. We're just hustlers doing a job. Jonathan, you're absolutely right. I've said this time and time again. Journalism is a check on political power and has every right to report the news and ask questions. Absolutely. And not every question is as significant as others, but I thought that this was actually a pretty important question. Anne says that she saw that one on IG last night and was like, wow, yeah, it's been making the rounds. And it's stupid and ridiculous. And I think that that IG account is supposed to be a really poor attempt at satire. Because if you notice some of the other stuff that they posted, but it's just stupid. And, anyone who even bothers entertaining that kind of stuff, they talk about we have time on our hands. Obviously, we're not the only ones that have time on our hands. Tanya says, no planka tonight. Let's just move past that now. I always find it interesting how quickly people want to move on when they're in the spotlight. Let's just forget it. Let's quickly move on. Cece says, yeah, Vanessa's looking for some money. Cece says, back off. I asked first. Jacqueline, thank you. You can bring your daughter on your show sometime. That will definitely not happen, Jacqueline. My husband is a very private individual, actually. Vanessa says she remembers my ex-husband from way back when. Yeah, my husband is a very private individual, and he does not engage with people on social media. That's not what he does. And he definitely would not want our underage daughter to be involved in that either. So you've even noticed that the couple times that I have kind of shown her, like maybe walking the dog or whatever, I do not, put her like front on it or anything like that. So I'm very, very deliberate about trying not to even do that as often, because I get that people are mean and they're crazy, and you wouldn't want me to really go off on someone until they try to do something to my family, because that would be like next level stupid on their part. And that's when I would probably go to jail for real. Because that's the one time that I would defend myself. And I don't mean like just words. Like, people can say and talk whatever foolishness they want. Big up, big up, big up, big up, boom, boom. Mary, this is my long time friend, Mary Stewart. We go back, oh my gosh, 20, tell me, Mary, how many years has it been? 22, 23 years. Mary says, continue to hold your head high, as I know you will. You are transparent as it gets and has always stood your own. Proud of you. You know what? Mary is such a beautiful soul. And sometimes Mary reminds me of stuff that I myself have forgotten. So some years ago, Mary was saying to me how she's like, do you remember when you left Maples and Calder, how you sent out this email to like a number of people that you worked with and that were your friends and whatever there? And honestly, I didn't remember that at all. But it was one of those emails where I was making a change in my life. I was walking away from what everybody was like, this is the best job ever. This is the best law firm, the number one law firm on the island, destined to make tons of money, more money that I would probably know what to do with. And I resigned and walked away from that position. And one of the reasons why is because, I'm sure Mary will remember this, I had just finished law school that year, and my father had just passed away as well. And he'd been sick for at least a year with stomach cancer. And at the time, like the Saturday was my law school graduation, and the Sunday was the day that we buried him. That's how crazy everything was. And I remember when I was getting ready to do my exams, and I sat down with him. I actually called him on the phone because he was in Miami. And I said to him, do you want me to come to Miami? Like, I can explain everything to Mr. Davies at the law school. I can postpone my exams until next year, and I can just come and be with you. And you can tell me, he was not being fully transparent about the seriousness of his illness, but I knew that it was really bad, because you're not going to be in Miami in ICU if it's really not that big of a deal. So I'm like, I can come and be with you. But you need to tell me what your wishes are and what you want me to do. And he said, no. He said, I do not want you to come. I want you to stay there. I want you to finish law school, because no matter what, you coming here isn't going to change anything. It's not going to change the outcome of what's going on right now. And so I said, okay. So I tried to work through it. I would talk to him on the phone. And for all of his imperfections, he still had a lot of very, very good things about him. And he said, no, I want you to stay. I want you to finish law school and whatever, finish your exams. And I did that. And the one benefit of doing that is I was able to, and I don't want to get kind of too emotional about this, but I was able to actually say to him before he died that I had passed, because I got my exam results, that I had passed all of my exams and that I would be graduating this 3-year program, and that there were no issues. And just to know that he knew that before he passed on, I think was really important to me. And I think at some point he was like, oh, but I had no doubts that you would actually pass and that you'd be able to do this. And life has a way of challenging you. And so after I was going through all of that, and I decided in that moment, during that very tumultuous and emotional time, that I could not see myself staying in an environment like Maples and Calder, where I saw so many injustices occurring. Because although they weren't directed at me, Mary can tell you the times that I would speak out on behalf of other people, my own Caymanians, and put my own neck on the chopping block in terms of getting in trouble with the management team at the law firm. I did that on a regular basis. And the crazy thing about that is there was always a price to pay. And I thought to myself, this isn't what I want. And I feel like right now, if I don't move from this position of where I'm at in life, I will become dependent on the salary and become dependent on that source of income and that lifestyle and whatever. And it is hard when you're used to making $10, $15, $20,000 a month to then walk away from that, because you've got the bills, you've got the kids in private school, you've got the big house, you've got all these obligations. And for a lot of people, you've got this not really reputation, but this persona that you're trying to protect, that you're a big shot lawyer at Maples and Calder and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of people who invest a lot of the time into that. And so for me, I felt like this was my opportunity to leave. It was a perfect timing. And I had some other things on the burner in terms of opportunities professionally. And so I left, and, you just can move on. It is what it is. So just one of those things. I mean, I don't mind sometimes sharing personal stories with you guys, because I think a lot of people don't know my story. A lot of people see me and they make assumptions and they think they know me, and they really don't know me at all. So I was just reminiscing about that period of my life, because Mary was one of those people who got that email. Mary reminded me of the fact that she'd actually printed off and saved that email for many, many years, and how that email had touched her and the way that it was written and stuff like that. Sophia, good evening. Marshall says that he had to block one of his supporters a few days ago. She was talking trash, of which I didn't care about. Yeah, people really going hard for people. Pension money is about to be released. Well, someone posted earlier that the pension money situation is looking very dim, because they just got their pension statement, I guess, for March, and it's not looking good. All right, so yes, let's do Western Union. Sophia. All right, let's get into it. Ruth said, I think someone wanted your ex. I don't know anything about that. Like I say, it is not the question, it is the answer he gave. And I think for a lot of people, that's what it came down to. Okay, yes, may his soul rest in peace, despite the foolishness that people are going on with. Silver Thatch. Do you need to know, please, what other avenue? So Sophia, I think the issue with Silver Thatch is they have really been inundated with, I can only imagine, thousands of emails already. And I would say stay tuned. Private message me and I will speak to Alice for you. But I think it's just a matter of it's in the queue, and they'll just have to get to each one. Hubert says, good evening, Sandy. Yes, I was ignorant to the fact, but after seeing the video today, was lost for words. Mary, almost 23 years. It's been a long time. I listened to the question. It was Wendy asked, and I still can't find any proof that she was accusing him of anything. She wasn't. She just said, basically, can you respond to this story, this allegation that's on Cayman Mall Road? It wasn't an accusation at all. And the fact that the premier seems to have said or implied that it was demonstrates a lack of understanding in his part, which I do not believe, because he's a smart guy and he's a lawyer. But it was just, trying to twist the situation and gain favor for the minister, because the truth apparently will not be addressed in this situation at all. Sue, we'll get to that question if you want to private message me. Okay, so Giovanni says, go to the website. I got to them yesterday about the pension company. Mia, come kitchen, you can warm it up. He said, you're brave and stupid. I think the word he actually used might have been silly. I don't know if the exact word was stupid, but pretty much the same thing for asking. Yes. Yes, Marshall, nobody said life is going to be easy, and we learn from these life lessons and we try to keep it moving. Cindy says, welp, look at you now. Have your successful business, Roque, and your independent news page with thousands of followers. Thank you, Cindy. And the truth of the matter is there are a lot of people who are shocked at the success of Cayman Mall Road. They didn't think it was going to go anywhere. They didn't think it was going to do anything. And we're giving the big boys a lot of competition. And some people, that's a hard pill to swallow. That a little black nappy hair girl, which, by the way, can I tell you, now that I can't get to the salon, I got to keep the edges kind of smooth. And you see all the grays are coming in. I'm like, Lord Jehovah, I soon start looking a little rough around here. But yeah, they don't expect people like me who come from nowhere and come from nothing. And I don't have a name, the Solomon name, that's a nobody. We're nobodies in this community. The older heads knew my father, Uric Solomon. He was a seaman. They, respected him for what he did. He had one of the first mechanic shops like in Georgetown and whatever. So he was an entrepreneur in his own right, but we didn't come from money. We don't come from a name. We don't come from a position of privilege. And in Cayman, all of that makes certain people think of you as less. So when you take on any kind of venue, whether it's CMR or anything else, you're not going to go anywhere with that. You're just, because you're nobody. So they don't have high expectations of you. And you just keep doing what you do, and you keep crawling until you can walk, and then you can run. And, this is why I always tell Cindy and all these other young ladies that education and planning your life as much as you can is really the key to your own success. Like, don't let other people dictate to you what you can and can't do just because of who you are. And the fact that, your parents had jobs as, my mother was in the janitorial business pretty much all of her life, like housekeeping and stuff like that. So would people have expected me to have 4 degrees in my lifetime? Probably not. And none of those things can stop you. None of the dysfunctions, even within our own families, of people being jealous of you because you have achieved a little something that in their minds you shouldn't have or whatever. None of that matters when you've got what you need upstairs and when you have hard work and you can contribute to your community. Denny says a salary is the bribe they offer you to give up your own dreams. And there is some truth to that. All right, Silver Thatch, shoot. Okay, all right, Western Union. Yes, Lorna, let's get it. Let's get it, girl. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my screen here. So let me just preface this by saying that a few of you have tried the Western Union idea, and it has worked. And I'm glad that it has. We've had people confirm that they've sent funds to Honduras, to Jamaica, and it has worked for them. But there are different ways that you can do this. Okay, so I've not used the app. What I do is I actually go online to the website. Now, I have realized after we did this segment last week that apparently the website will pick up, because you guys know how these websites operate. They will pick up that you're in the Cayman Islands based on your IP address. And as a result of that, they will direct you to like the Caribbean page or whatever. And you'll see that come up because it'll say like KY or whatever in the actual URL. So it says right now, it says for me, westernunion.com backstroke US English, and then I've already logged into my account, right? So I want to share my screen with you guys. So just give me a second here. I'm going to do this, and I want you guys to kind of see what I'm looking at. So I've just done a couple transactions. I'm not living this ravenous lifestyle. I don't have a ton of money to be sending people no money. So don't get it wrong. But what I did do, and I think this makes a humongous difference in two different ways. The options that are available for you of how you're going to actually send the funds, and the options that are available for you in terms of the fee structure. Okay. So when you select the website, I myself put my US address, because I do keep a US address, which I've had for probably 15 years at least, that I maintain. So even after I moved back from the States, I would ship stuff to Miami, and then eventually I bring it to the Cayman Islands. So sometimes I just use that as a holding location for my goods. And then if I know I'm traveling, I will go up, and I will actually, thanks, Betty. Betty's tuning in from Austin, Texas. Good evening. And then I will, make a trip and kind of bulk everything together. So I do have a US address. And many years ago, I discovered that it was actually easier to use the US address linked to my credit or debit card. And I don't even deal with credit. I don't have credit cards. I have a debit card. And so if I don't have cash for it, then I don't get it. I can't afford it. That's how simple my life is, really. So yes. So you got to be careful with the website. I'm going to put the URL of the US website on here so that you guys can make sure that you have gone to the right website if you have a US address. Now, if you don't have a US address, what does that mean for you? Well, the first thing it means for you is that your options of how you're going to send it to them is limited. So you can still send it, but you actually have to send it to a location where they will go and pick it up. So like a physical location. And I think that for a lot of people that may be fine. It depends on, if those Western Union locations are open, wherever you're sending the money. And then for other people, that may not be what they're trying to do. For me, I wanted to send it directly to a bank account. And if you want that option of sending it directly to a bank account, then you've got to make sure that you're using a US address, and also that you go to the correct website. Okay, so let me just give the link here. And it's basically just westernunion.com. But the kind of hidden part of the URL, which I'm going to share with you guys, is the backstroke US part of it. So I'm going to put that in here. Sherwayne says that she used the Sherwayne. Sorry, are you a guy? Yes, my apologies, Sherwayne. That he used it, and he used a US address as well. And the other benefit of using a US address and using the US website is the fees are more favorable. So again, I was shocked and astounded to see that for sending basically $500 US to Jamaica, I only paid $2.99. And that was it. That's really good. That's super cheap. However, I tested the alternative website for the same amount in US. So I went to like just the regular browser and put in like, okay, I'm from Cayman and whatever. And the fees were like maybe $17 US. And then they charge some kind of transaction fee in addition to like the sending fee or whatever you call it. So there are differences and the fees that you charge. So the transfer fee is $2.99 when you use a US address. If you're using a Cayman address and information, there's a transfer fee, plus there's another little fee, I forget what they call that, of something else. So there are some differences there. So be mindful of that, please. And the other thing to probably make note of is the fact that they're very, very tight on security. So you have got to be prepared to know that they will contact you and they're going to ask you different questions. Why are you sending the money? Do you know who you're sending the money to? And all of these different things. So be prepared to be scrutinized, which is fair because a lot of people are being taken advantage of, even during COVID-19. There are people out there who want to separate you from your hard-earned money. So don't be a fool. Don't be a jackass with your money because nobody ain't got time for that. We're all working a little bit too hard. Kelso said it worked for me twice, but now it's saying that my payment method can't be used and I'm using a CNB debit card. Kelso, I have the solution for you because the same thing happened to me. So I have a Cayman National Bank debit card. It worked fine. A few people have had an issue with Butterfield, and I don't know why that is. I've had people say that they couldn't get through with Butterfield, but then they had no issue with CNB. The only thing, Stacy, I would say, if you're going to use a US address, I would contact my bank, so whoever issues your debit card, and say, can you link this address to my debit card? And the banks can do that very, very easily. Well, let me not speak for everybody. CNB can do that very, very easily. And I can tell you yesterday, I had to reach out to CNB for an issue with one of my debit cards, and I had actually gotten locked out of my online access. And I had to contact CNB with that. And they are working, they have numbers set up. They're working from home, they're working remotely, but they're no slower than they were before. Like literally within 2 minutes of sending my account manager an email, I got a phone call back. Hey, Miss Sandy, it's Damien. How can I help you? I got your email. Let's see if we can sort this out. And he was on his computer looking stuff up. So CNB is on the money. You guys know I love me some CNB. And so I can speak to what it is that they're doing. So are you saying that you can sign up without having a US account? Yeah. So having a US account, like a bank account, has nothing to do with this transaction at all. You just need a debit card. And my debit card is linked to Cayman National Bank, and it is a local bank and a local issued card. So Sherwayne sent money to Jamaica. Like I said, I know people sent to Honduras and they received the money right back. If you already have a Western Union card, you still need to sign up. JV, I don't know that because I've never had a Western Union card. So I doubt it. I don't think the two are related. I don't know if that's just a card that when you go to the counter, it makes it easier for you to send the information or send your transaction because it kind of keeps your history. But yeah, I don't know that. Yes, you can sign up without having a US address, but there are two benefits to having a US address. The first one is cheaper fees to send. And the second one is you have more options to actually send as well. Natasha, am I late? Did I miss it? We're going to go through it. And don't forget, folks, even if you miss these shows, you can always share the links with other people. The shows stay up on social media, and you can go back later on and watch them. So Kelso agrees that CNB is the best. Okay, so let's just go through it. So let me share you guys my screen. This is my account information. And then we can kind of get an idea of how it works, exactly what it looks like. So I've not used the app, but I'm assuming the app is more or less the same. Now, I'm going to get back to that question of your CNB card not currently working, although you have used it before, because there's a very easy way to resolve that I'm going to tell you about here. So let me just pull back up this page here, and then I'm going to make this full screen because I know it's kind of small so that you guys can see this. And so basically, let me just show you guys how this works. So I've already signed up, obviously. So I'm here now at westernunion.com. You have options up at the top. So I just clicked on the kind of main area. What it takes you to first when you already have an account is just like your history page. So this shows the history of my transactions who it was sent to, and so on. I'm not going to stay on that page too long, but all that information is available to you. It shows you your recent transfers, and you can go in and look at each individual transfer. So up at the top, you have the option to send money, pick up cash, track your transfer, pay bills, which I think that's mostly for the US, obviously. And then, of course, you can find the different locations. So one of the beautiful things about this is finding locations around the world. You know, what Western Union locations are there? You can just come here and you can select what is it you want to do. Do you want to send money transfers, mobile money transfers? Because some locations may have that option. Do you want to receive and pick up money? And then they have these prepaid card sales, Western Union Reload. That sounds like the card system that they have of their own, right? They even have an option of Amazon Cash, Amazon Pay Code. I'm not personally familiar with those, but those are additional Western Union services. So say, for example, I want to select a different country. This is a list of countries, and it looks very comprehensive. So right now, if I want to say by address, so say, for example, I want to pick Jamaica. So let's do Jamaica, because Jamaica is a very popular destination to send money from here. So Jamaica, there it is. And we click on Jamaica, and then it has where you can put in like a zip or postal code or city or state. Let's just leave that blank. And then we click on go. Oh, it's saying please enter location search. Oh, so it does want me to put in. Okay, so let me just say Kingston as a city. I click and go, and now it brings up a map and all of the details in terms of where the locations are within Kingston. So it shows you the little map here. They've got numerous locations. It actually says 1 of 20 of 90. So according to this, that seems like a lot of locations. There are 90 locations, I guess, in the vicinity of the Kingston area. Yeah. So we have this one called Bijan Limited, which is on Molyneux Road in St. Andrew, Kingston 20. This one is DL Financial Eastwood Park, DL Financial Services Limited at Pavilion Mall, 13 Constance Road. So all of these different locations, you can do information by location and, you know, look up places and stuff as well. They have the contact numbers by location, the hours of operation. Like this one says right now that this one is closed. This one says open now. So that's based on their store hours. And this one says closed. So tons of information here with the little map. So what you do initially is you would sign up for the service. So again, I don't want to do that because I've already signed up. So every time I go to a Western Union page, it reminds me that I've signed up. But let me actually log out completely. And then I'm going to show you guys. So I log out of Western Union. And this is the page that it brings me to. But had I not signed up, let me just click on home. This is what it would bring you to here. So this is what the main page looks like. And you see at the top right-hand corner, you have the option to log in or to sign up. So say, for example, now I wanted to sign up. I could just click on sign up, and it's going to open a page starting to ask me questions about my location, my name. So it says create a profile. You know, who are you? First name, last name, whatever. So let's just do this. I'm not going to go through all the way with this. But let's say I want to say my name is Deanna. Middle name is optional. So I put in Hill. And I put in an email address. I'm just going to make something up, ABC at CanBeWacky or whatever. And then you create a password. And then you say continue. And I'm only doing this. Oh, this is password not valid. So you need one uppercase, one lowercase, one number. So it does have some requirements here. So let me just put some password there that meets their criteria. and then I would click on continue. Okay, so to protect your security, your session is timed out. So I think the issue here is Western Union actually can probably see that I'm already a customer, because again, it is saving in your cache, and your cache is like your browser history. It is saving your information. So it didn't really allow me to do that. But rest assured, you can go through that step, and then it's going to ask you what country you're in. And that's where, if you have a US address, you will want to indicate that you're in the United States of America and provide your US address. If you just say Cayman, then it will take you from there. So I'm going to log back in to my account. So just sign it back in here. And then once you create your profile, you have the opportunity to create receivers. So receivers would be anyone that you're obviously sending money to. And once you come here, if you go, there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. So if you go to the top right-hand corner, right next to your profile name, if you click on that, you see where it says history, my Western Union reward points, which I don't know what points give you, but I've somehow acquired 18 points already. My receivers, pay inmate. I guess you can send money to people in prison. CC, Cindy, don't be getting no ideas now. Mobile reload, estimate price, and settings. Oh, I want us to look at estimate price here in a second, because I've not really explored that. But you go to my receivers, and it's going to show the list of receivers that you have. And this is where you can add additional receivers. So the great thing about this is it saves people here that you've already sent money to. And then you can click on add receiver, and their information comes up. Now you want to be very, very careful when you add receiver to make sure that you have all of their information. So you've got the country. So again, if you're sending to someone in Jamaica, you put in Jamaica here. And this makes a difference when you go to send them money, because it's going to give you the options of, especially if you're sending it directly to their bank account, it will give you the options of what banks are available in Jamaica or the location of that receiver, right? So if she was in Jamaica, Canada, Barbados, whatever, you put the country information there, the Philippines, and then you put the person's name, their information, their phone number. So it comes up with a country code already for the Philippines, and it's asking you to select either mobile, home office, whatever phone number, and then you can go from there. So let's just, for sample sake, say again, we're going to do Mary Smith, receiver's last name, and then you can put their email address or their middle name, which is optional. Normally I do put the email address, and then their phone number is also optional, but I tend to fill out all of that. And then when you go to continue, it's going to start creating a profile for this person. And I'll show you, you can go back and delete profiles and stuff. So obviously this is just a dummy person that we're using here for demonstration purposes. Okay, so now there's Mary Smith, and I can say show details, or I can just click on the icon that says send money. And when I click on Mary now to send her money, I'm able to select information based on what country she is in, because I've already selected or put that information in at the profile stage. So it gives you the exchange rate. So say now I'm balling this week or this month, and I'm going to send Mary $1,000 US to the Philippines. So sometimes it takes a minute. You'll see it doing this little swirly thing, and it's thinking. So I put in the US amount. So say it's $1,000. That is over $50,000 in Filipino currency. And you see here where it says like the transfer fee, the total, it gives you the exchange rate, service time estimated to be 0 to 5 business days. And if I continue now, you see in the middle where it says, how does your receiver want the money? These options here, these two options of cash pickup or bank account, I have two options available to me because I set up initially from my profile and my account that I am in the United States. If I had set up a Cayman address, the only available option here would be cash pickup. So it doesn't allow you to do the bank account option. And the other things down here that are available to you could be limited again. I don't think that the bank account option comes up if you select Cayman. So some people are saying that you can't see. Sorry, I wasn't really checking messages. But so I think it just got a little bit fuzzy. Let me just refresh it because this is an internet issue. So give me 1 second. So sometimes when you're Okay, so someone said I was muted for the last 10 minutes. I don't know why that would be. You should have been hearing me. Sorry. Uh-oh, I can see you got on. The broadcast is completely muted. Oh my goodness, that's not good. So basically, I was just walking you guys through. I'm sorry, I was not looking at this screen with all of your messages. I was just kind of walking you through the various steps that you get to for adding a receiver and to actually then complete the transaction. So I just did a dummy test there for a fictitious friend in the Philippines. And then you can select all the different banks and stuff. So yeah, for Jamaica, they have all of the banks pretty much there. You select, you put the account number in, and you're good to go. So sorry about the audio issue there. Yes, Scotiabank is one of the banks, is the only one actually that I've sent money to in Jamaica so far. And yeah, it works fine. So just set up your receivers. You'll put in your credit card information, how much money you're sending. So I was showing you that depending on the option that you choose of how you want them to receive it. So if you're using a credit card, that appears to be the most expensive method, and that was 20 something dollars to send the money. If you're doing bank to bank, which I don't believe you'd be able to do using a Cayman bank, that's free. So if you have family in the US who are able to send you money from their US bank account, there's no fee associated with that from Western Union. It's going straight from one bank account to the next. And apparently Western Union doesn't charge a transfer fee. If you're using a debit card, again, depending on the amount that you're sending and the location that you're sending it to, so far for me, the average has been $2.99. And you notice with the sample one that I was showing you guys there for the Philippines, that transaction was $1,000 and it was still $2.99. So definitely check that out. Let me just see what some of your other questions were. Marshall says, if anyone wants to see if it works, I can give you my US address. Rocio says she's ready for me to come back to the salon. Thank you so much. Okay. The question earlier, I can't remember who asked it, said that they had used it before and then it didn't work. Here's what you need to do to resolve that issue. So Western Union keeps like browser cookies and stuff, right? So your cache history, you want to clear that completely. So if you're using Google Chrome or Firefox, there's ways of doing that. Basically, you go into where it says settings, you look for the three little dots at the top of the page, you go to settings and you're going to tell it to clear out your browsing history. So that removes everything. It removes your history, your cookies, your cache, and everything. And if you do that, you should be able to then go back in and use the same debit card that you've used before without a problem. So I think that maybe every once in a while, for the purposes of Western Union, you may have to, again, probably a security thing, you may have to clear out the cache on your browser and you'll find that that problem disappears, because I was having that issue yesterday as well. And that is why I was contacting my bank, because Western Union was like, oh, there's no issue on their side. And I contact CNB and CNB was like, there's no issue here. You know, the card isn't blocked or anything like that. So it looks like that's a security feature from the website side of things for yeah, okay. So someone was just saying that on Facebook, this is a new feature in Facebook where it has the closed caption. It's just a Facebook feature. So I don't know what to tell you, but there are people who love it because they are hard of hearing or hearing impaired. And so they're able to see those captions. But someone was just saying that it does cover my face. But sorry, nothing that we can do about that. Yes. So those are the steps that you want to take. So clear your cache. If you're having an issue at the end where it tells you that you can't use your card, that you have to go into a location, clear that out, and you should be fine from there. So Cayman only has the two options. Yes, like I said, I think if you select the Cayman, you limit your options and you also increase the fees that you are using. That's pretty much it. I've not used the app as yet, but I think the next time I need to send money, I will try the app for sure and see how that works. I'm assuming if you've already registered online, when you download the app, you would just log in with your same credentials. Diana says, can you say if using a Canadian address works just as well? I don't personally know. However, I would think that it would give you similar options to using a US address. I know for sure you can send to Canada without any issues. So yeah, check it out, guys. It's a great way to send money. Sherwayne says, remind them if they're sending money to an account other from your personal, the account holder will have to register at Western Union with proof of the account. Okay, Sherwayne is talking about when they receive it. So do you mean that, like, if I'm sending it directly to the bank account, that they have to show proof to Western Union that they own the account? And how do they do that? So that's a good question. Calso says if you do send an account, it takes 2 to 3 days. I don't know if it works. So listen, someone sent me a message. They sent it to what's it called? They sent it to, what's the name of that place again? Honduras, and it was received the next day. So use the website. The app doesn't work. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I've not used the app. So hopefully that's helpful. We've gone a little bit into overtime. I will see you guys in the morning. We will continue having some open mic discussion. Tomorrow's Wednesday and Friday show. We're supposed to have Raul from Digicel come back. He was supposed to come on Monday, but he got kind of tied up with some conference calls and that sort of thing. So he's booked some time for us on Friday. So get your Digicel questions and concerns ready for Friday's program. And of course, tomorrow is the launch date for Let's Eat. And as you guys recall, they were on the show this morning doing their their interview with us, just telling us a little bit about that application and how that works. And it sounds very, very exciting. And I'm definitely going to be keen to try it out for some food delivery and see how it goes. Okay, folks, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Have a wonderful evening, and we shall see you in the morning, God's willing.